I'm Danny Rosenberg. For the past year and change, I've been working behind the scenes to help bring you these Friday night shows every week. Well, this is the last show of the season, so we thought we'd do something a little different tonight, other than me being on this side of the camera for the first time. We're going to take a look back with 45th Parallel members and friends talking about what the past years meant to them, along with some excerpts of notable shows from the past season. You know, when the pandemic hit and live performances were abruptly canceled, it was a huge shock to everyone in the creative community. But Ron and I decided to treat it as an opportunity, and we brainstormed about a way to continue bringing music to you virtually with players performing from their own homes. For me, it meant a deep dive into things like web-based video conferencing technologies, and later in the season, a return to video editing, which is something I hadn't done in about 25 years. For the musicians, it meant learning to embrace or at least tolerate technology, which is not something all musicians are really eager to do. Despite the many trials and tribulations we endured along the way, and there were many, as you'll hear about, I feel like we've been incredibly successful in accomplishing what we set out to do. Just to throw a few facts and figures out there, we've created 54 shows in the last 59 weeks, and all but 2 of them were original content generated that week. We've had 82 artists performing 143 works by 96 composers over the course of the season, from 1,000-year-old works to brand new world premieres. We've had everything from solo shows to the 29 performers who participated in the second performance of Terry Riley's In C a few weeks ago. You know, I think the thing that's meant the most to me over the past year is getting to know and befriend so many amazingly talented musicians, people that I barely knew 16 months ago. It's been a real honor to work with the members of 45th Parallel, as well as all the other musicians from the Oregon Symphony and around the world that participated in this season's performances. I hope these shows have meant as much to you, the viewer, as they have to me in these very interesting and very turbulent times. And with that, let's jump right into it.
Hi, 45th family. Here we are reflecting on a season of 54 concerts amidst a pandemic. It's been a wild ride. I cannot believe everything that we've done as an organization, and actually how much music I've learned in the past 14 months or so, 15 months. When asked to reflect on this past year and talk about a few of my favorite moments, it's really hard to choose, actually, because so much has happened. But I thought maybe I'd give you a little bit of insight into some of the stuff that you didn't know was going on while we were trying to bring you these concerts from our homes. I have so many memories of sitting in front of my fireplace and just like outtake after outtake of the talking portions, especially of our concerts. Man, those were hard to do. But when I think back to May of 2020, to the very first time that we played a Pixis Quartet concert using Kevin, the program that Danny Rosenberg created for us to all play from our homes, that was insane. Just getting, I had to upgrade my internet. I had to, Ron had to many times bus over a bunch of new equipment, like microphones, and then the right jack for the headphones, and then, but oh wait, no, now this little jack is not working, and then I remember him making a trip to my house at one point, at 11 p.m. or something like that to deliver a headphone jack because mine wasn't working and we didn't have extra plugs. And then after all this prep, not to mention, learning the music and sitting down for a rehearsal, sitting down in front of my computer by myself at home, and seeing the guys on the screen, and then doing a lot of sitting. Like the screen would just crash or something wouldn't work, and Trevor would come and knock on the door and be like, "Hey, have you guys played anything yet?" And we're like, no playing yet, no rehearsing yet. And it was a lot of hurry up, get everything ready, and wait. I also remember at that very first concert that things didn't go so well, and thinking Danny's gonna lose it. But somehow it all worked out, and we were able to play Black Angels. We played a movement of Black Angels nonetheless, and it felt so healing that evening, even though it was so crazy to put together, just knowing that we were actually making music together from our homes, and that you all were enjoying it, felt so rewarding.
So in the early stages of the pandemic, once we had kind of gotten over that initial shock, and it was like, what are we going to do? We've got no performances. The symphony is down and out for the count until something can be done. All of our live shows got canceled. With 45th Parallel, it was, oh, what do we do? And Danny Rosenberg and Ron cooked up this idea to have a remote platform that would allow us to be each in our own homes. And if we had a good high-speed internet connection, we could play together without the effects of latency. I won't go into what's involved with that. Perhaps Danny or Ron will at another point in this video. But it was, sort of this, let's just do this and throw this together and kind of see what we can do with it. And so a lot of the very earliest experiments leading up to our first performance of Terry Riley's In C were sitting around for 45 minutes while everybody's connections got up to speed, or we tried to figure out if somebody had the correct dongle to hook up the Ethernet to their computer, because you needed that because you couldn't use Wi-Fi and all this kind of stuff. And Danny getting pissed off and throwing his headphones across his office because it was just everything was so pressure intensive and irritating, and we're just trying to get something done.
Hi, 45th Parallel friends. It's been a year. I've been thinking back lately on what the last year has been like, and I don't know about you, but I actually don't remember a lot of it. It seems like it's lasted an eternity, and it's lasted 5 minutes. And I think that, especially being a musician, it's been quite a ride. To go from a full calendar to not knowing when your next time making music with other people will be was a real shock to the system. And I definitely had periods when it was hard to keep practicing. Just theoretical practice when you're not preparing for anything is really tough. And I think that the opportunity to sing with James and Maria last June, I think it was, to sing some Schubert and Bach, some of my very favorite rap, was just such a bright spot in the last year. And I'm incredibly grateful to Ron and the whole 45th Parallel team for making that happen. I think that this year would have been a lot harder without some truly live music making, and I'm just so grateful for that. I know we're not out of the woods yet, but things are starting to look a little bit more like they may be normal sometime. And in the meantime, I hope that you're all well, and I can't wait to see you at a concert soon, in person, in the flesh. Stay well.
sure that mothers everywhere can relate to this, but being a mom this pandemic year was not easy. I have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and finding time to actually, work and make recordings that require silence was a challenge. So at first, when we were asked to do a cello duo show, I thought, this is going to be impossible. How are we ever going to get our kids to be quiet for 35 minutes for a live show, or, for us to record this stuff? And it was interesting. We have to Trevor and I both, came up with a crafty plan of how we're going to give them screen time, and then coordinate it with his nap and all of these things to be able to play that duo show, because we're like, we need this. We need to chill out ourselves. But at one point when we were recording, my daughter, Isla, I think she forgot or she was just felt like she needed to ask us something, and we're in the midst of playing, and here she starts walking towards us, and I thought everybody was going to be able to see it in the program, but apparently nobody did. There's a point when we're like playing, and both of us are looking over and just like shaking our heads no at her, like don't do this right now. Oh man, earring.
My name is Maria Garcia, and I have been very blessed this year, despite the challenges of the pandemic, to make music with friends here in Portland, new friends here in Portland, and old friends across the pond, so to speak. And it's this remarkable, wondrous technology that Danny Rosenberg has created for 45th Parallel has allowed me to reconnect with dear friends from the past. I was fortunate enough to play 2 concerts in this platform with my dear friend Joseph Luptact, whom I had a trio with back many years ago, and my dear friend Tom Norris in the UK. So thank you, Danny. Thank you for everything you've done for us. And thanks to 45th Parallel to ask me to join in this wondrous project.
I read much, exercise, talk to guards and inmates, feeling for the inevitable direction of my life.
Hi, my name's Elisa Barston, and I'm a violinist with the Seattle Symphony. When COVID shut down our worlds in March 2020, I, like so many of my musician friends, tried my best to keep the music playing. At first, I recorded a few online videos, hoping to keep my own spirits up as well as boosting the morale of the audience watching. In July, I was lucky to be able to quarantine with 3 other musicians on the Olympic Peninsula, where we performed weekly string quartet concerts for the live-streamed audience of the music festival Concerts in the Barn. Then, after recording a recital program for the Bellingham Symphony Orchestra in early September, my father was placed on hospice care. For the next 8 months, my focus was entirely on caring for him, and I took a hiatus from the violin and from performing. It wasn't until June 11th that I gave my next performance, here in Portland, with the Friends Quartet for 45th Parallel. To say that this concert rejuvenated my soul and lifted my spirits is a huge understatement. Playing great music with some of my dearest friends and most favorite musicians renewed my zest for life and refreshed my love for music making. I cannot wait to perform with 45th Parallel again, and I'm forever grateful to Ron Blessinger and my colleagues at 45th Parallel for this amazing experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Martha Long, flutist with the Arcturus Quintet and member of the 45th Parallel universe. Thinking back about this past year, I don't think this past year has been great for anybody, but the silver lining for us members of 45th Parallel has been that, musically speaking, we've had a really fruitful year. I was looking at my own personal repertoire list, and I learned 27 new pieces this year. That doesn't even count pieces that I played again, for the second or third or fourth time. And I'm not sure when the last time was that I learned that much music that wasn't orchestral in a year. I probably was in college, if I even hit a number like that when I was in college and I was practicing 4 or 5 hours a day. So, personally, I've gotten to learn a lot of new, really exciting pieces of music. I've diversified my repertoire list. I've played a lot of music by women. I've played a lot of music by people of color. And I've learned a lot about composers that just hadn't come across my music stand before. So that's been a really special part of this year that I don't know if it would have happened, if something like that would have happened if I had been spending the entire year in the orchestra like I normally do. Of course, I'm looking forward to getting back to the orchestral season and my normal job and seeing my colleagues again. We all are. But I'm also really thankful for the pause that we took to reassess what was important to us and to find a way, like Ron, our executive director, says, creativity amidst calamity. There was something that ground the world to a halt, and we found a way of creating music through it. And I'm really appreciative of Ron and Danny Rosenberg for making it possible for us to keep playing during this year when so many of our venues and concert halls were dark. So it's been a tough year, but we're looking forward to seeing you all in person again soon.
Hi everyone, my name is Antoinette Gann and I'm a cellist in the Oregon Symphony, but I've played several concerts for 45th Parallel this past year. When Ron emailed all of us to ask that we reflect on this past year, I'm like, wow, that's a lot to talk about, but I'll try to keep it brief. I think the biggest thing is, just as we're emerging out of this now, is how everything's changed, but not. I played my first live performance for a live audience this past week in over a year, and it was so surreal. People were walking around like it was normal. Playing music with my friends felt normal, but I had changed, and we have all changed, and the whole experience, I had so much more gratitude to be there than I did before the pandemic. Sadly, I had much more gratitude now. I think that the big theme for me personally this past year is a renewed and refreshed look at everything, a renewed appreciation for music for sure, and feeling connected with other people musically and just being able to see people, and just I missed it, and I know everyone else did. And gratitude, I have so much gratitude now, and I think we all do, because we realize there were so many things we've taken for granted that we didn't have this past year. So if anything from this really trying year, the silver lining is that we've come out of it stronger and with more appreciation for everything. Thanks.
Our colleague, Zach Galatas, is an exceptional talent. Not only is he a virtuoso piccolo and flute player, he can sing like an angel. And from personal experience, I can tell you that you never want to be the person following Zach on karaoke nights, as this incredible video demonstrates so well.
Has it really been 15 months since the pandemic started? As I reflect, it seems both considerably longer and in other ways a small amount of time when you consider how much has happened in the world, in our individual lives. It's hard to put it all into any kind of perspective. But what I will say, what started as a gloomy time that was full of so much doubt and confusion, to the point where we never knew in the beginning whether we'd be able to keep our homes or have a job to go back to ever, or play music again, to these little islands of hope that would pop up along the way. And one of the things I just feel compelled to say is, as much as this country struggles with coming to terms with our politics and how people can help other people and what's the right path forward, the government really stepped up for us this year. And I just, I can't reflect on this last year without commenting on the fact that myself and many, many of my colleagues wouldn't have been able to weather this if the federal government and the state governments didn't step up in the ways they did. So I'm very proud and happy to be able to say that happened. I know it was like pulling teeth for a lot of that to happen, but it did happen. And some of the other islands were musical ones in very unexpected ways. 45th Parallel, still struggle with that. 45th Parallel managed to put on, it was over 45, 50 shows in this period of time. It was done with this tremendous technology and people coming together in very strange and unusual circumstances, just trying to keep it going, trying to keep the art form alive, trying to keep ourselves motivated and pushing. And one of those really happy surprises for me was the show we did, very originally called The Joe Show, which is who I am. I'm Joe Berger. We did a show featuring French horns, Mozart, Beethoven, some arrangements, Bowie. It was a blast. It was amazing to see. I think it was the first time I got to play with anybody else in the same room since the pandemic started. And, we all tested, we wore masks. It was kind of incredible to get to mingle and play again with other musicians. And for that, I will always be grateful. I hope we get to do more shows like that. It was a lot of fun. So cheers, and I hope fond memories for everybody. In spite of the darkness that this period has had, there have been these little islands and rays of light. So with that, I will leave you, and I hope you enjoy the retrospective. Thanks.
I think another project that particularly stands out for me this year, because I don't know if we'll ever do this again. I think it was only because we were all doing so much recording from home and had all the right equipment, and we're just in this frame of mind of, playing things in our own bubble in front of a camera, that we even attempted this. But the Reich triple quartet with Pixis, that was intense. Even the logistics of figuring out what parts do we record first so that we were actually able to stay together. And I spent a lot of time in my room with the door closed trying to lay down those tracks, and it was crazy. I remember at one point getting halfway through a recording and thinking, this is pretty good. I can't remember if it was for a cello part 1 or 2 of the triple quartet. And then realizing, because of the outfits that I saw on the screen, because I tried to have a different outfit per part that I was playing, more so I could remember which part I was playing. All of a sudden being like, oh no, I'm recording a track that I already have. This is the wrong part. And having to scrap all of that. There were so many moments like that. And of course, this is all, usually happening at between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. in the morning, when I actually have a quiet space at home to work with. But doing all of those, 3 parts of the Reich triple quartet and the 2 parts of the Mendelssohn string octet, that was memorable. But and then that it actually worked out, we would have never done something like that in a normal year. And I think that was pretty cool.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew Noserly coming from London, Ontario, Canada. Just want to say congrats to 45th Parallel Universe on their year of online shows. And last year has been a strange one and a unique one for sure, with the way being a musician in these gigs and seeing people that we love has changed and how the world has kind of changed because of it. But just wanted to say congrats to 45th Parallel Universe for everything they've done with these shows, and to Danny Rosenberg as well. It was great participating this past year in multiple shows with them. Because of this pandemic, I haven't been able to travel much or play with a lot of people that I would regularly play with, especially on the other side of the border in the US. So a lot of the things that 45th Parallel Universe has put together, including the show back in September with Aaron Santillan, and then the recent performances of Workers Union and In C, bring me a little bit closer to playing with larger groups or playing with other instruments, but also reconnecting with a regular collaborator like Aaron, and also meeting new collaborators like everybody down there in the Pixis Quartet and all the other players. So just wanted to say thanks. I was really glad to be involved throughout this year, and it's pretty amazing to see all the kinds of shows and all the regular things that they provide for the community down there in Portland. And good luck with everything in the future.
Throughout the past year of delivering you weekly unique concert experiences over the internet, the 45th Parallel family has grown a lot. We've all had to learn a lot of new skills. We've certainly had some stressful moments, but above and beyond that, we've had a lot of fun. And we've been able to try some projects that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to try. One of my favorite shows from the past year was a program we called Clarinet Calamity, which was a show featuring arrangements for an ensemble of 5 clarinetists. And I was thrilled to be joined by 4 of my clarinet colleagues who are spread around the country and who are some of my favorite people to work with and to talk about all the geeky details of playing the clarinet and clarinet equipment. It was great to come together with them. And of course, we probably wouldn't have done that during a period of history where we get to play live concerts and be together in person. But throughout this period, we all tried to look on the bright side, and we were so thrilled to be able to still bring you music during this time in whatever form we could. And one of the great joys of that was being able to work with colleagues from all over the country and even all over the world.
Hi, everybody. This is Sergio here.
And John.
You know, we had a tough year this past season, and unfortunately, we couldn't get to you live last year. But given the conditions of the pandemic and the creative energy that came from that, it allowed us to kind of think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and so last fall we decided to kind of take everything that we could do via recording and videos and collaborate with some local artists in town. And we created this
this project, and it was called Currents. It was based on a Shostakovich Symphony No. 15, a chamber version of that, for sextet musicians for playing with 45th Parallel. And we collaborated with a filmmaker, Scott Ballard, and then also with a dancer from Bodyvox. And we decided to come up with this kind of multimedia extravaganza video. And it turned out just so much better than either of us expected it was going to be. And we were just thrilled with it. And that kind of leads us towards where we want to go with the piece.
Yeah, and aside from being able to catch it online, which you still can, we are going to bring this performance to you live next season in October, where the musicians that you've seen on the video, if you've seen it already, we'll come together in a live venue and perform to Scott's amazing video that we'll be showing while we perform Shostakovich 15 live.
So we hope you guys can come next fall, and we wish nothing more than a safe summer, and we can't wait to see you guys with Currents being premiered live with 45th Parallel next fall.
Cheers.
Thank you.
The turning point, I think, for me was a couple of things that we did that involved collaborations where we were doing things that weren't necessarily using the platform, but that were using sort of the virtual concert model to its best, in terms of we could do things that were perhaps a little bit easier to do online instead of having to do in a live venue. So the first of those was a set of animated shorts that had music by Beethoven, Florence Price, and Randy Wolf. And those were really fun to do. And at that point in the pandemic, we were able to be in a large space with our masks on and distanced, but to be in the same room. And that was kind of a turning point where, okay, now we can actually see and hear each other right there in the same room. And it was, something closer to the experience of making chamber music together, but still playing to a camera, not having that feedback, that sort of symbiotic relationship with the audience that really makes us as performers go to the next level. And it's kind of, when you're performing for people. You want to see them and feel the reactions. And that was the big thing that was largely missing throughout the pandemic in terms of what we did. But I remember especially we did the music of Florence Price from her string quartet, and there was this absolutely incredible animation that was created for us that just, I don't know, we all felt so emotional about it. And I think to this day, it's one of the collaborations that I'm most proud of.
The Arcturus Wind Quintet is a shining star in our musical universe, bringing great virtuosity to some of the most challenging music ever written. It's always a special occasion when they play, and we were treated to several magical moments from them this past year.
Hi everyone, this is Greg Ewer. As I reflect on the last 52 weeks or so of artistic endeavors that 45th Parallel put on, the image that sticks out in my mind most is the space in which we recorded most of these concerts once we were able to meet in person. And it was in an empty industrial space, the basement of Left Bank Annex, which is in inner Northeast Portland. And I just remember night after night getting in my car after putting the kids to bed and driving across town and just kind of leaving all of the day's cares behind me. And we would arrive and join up, my colleagues and I, and we would just immerse ourselves in music night after night. And I don't know, it felt very, very bohemian somehow, which is kind of what I needed in this year of crazy, domestic everything. We just couldn't go anywhere. So it was a real breath of fresh air, so to speak. I think the one concert that really stands out in my mind was the one where we performed Caroline Shaw's Entr'acte. And before that, we did the movement of Haydn Quartet that inspired that piece. And in the second half of that, we played a movement of a Bartok string quartet with percussionist Christian Tamblay, who overdubbed some percussion after the fact, and it was just really very satisfying, very fun all around. It was just a great project. As I think also about a musical element that defined the pandemic for me, it also happened in those hours after the kids went to bed, and it was when I didn't have a recording session with 45th Parallel, I would get out my Baroque violin. And I haven't had as much time in the last 20 years to do as much Baroque violin as I expected I would after moving to Portland. I've been doing so much with the symphony and so much with 45th Parallel, but Baroque violin has been a passion of mine, just one that hasn't gotten as much play as I would have liked. So I began relearning all of the sonatas and partitas of Bach for solo violin as kind of my soul project of the pandemic. And in fact, next year, one of the Friends of Greg concerts is going to be 3 of the 6 big ones, so to speak. I'm going to be doing a solo Bach concert next year, so I really hope you can join me for that. I'm going to be practicing my derriere off every day between now and that day to get ready for it, but I welcome it. Bring it on.
Wow, what a strange year this pandemic has been. In terms of music, for sure, it's like a lot of firsts. Playing outdoor gigs in December, freezing, that was definitely a first. And a lot of these streaming online concerts, fortunate to participate in some through 45th Parallel. And, just the chance to be creative and being motivated to play music and hopefully share it with people, whether it's, with the pandemic, it can't be in person. So, online through technology is something that's been great to have that outlet. But you know, there's something about playing music with other musicians in a space with an audience, and just that energy, kind of that collective energy that's missing, you know, or it's harder to when you're playing in front of a screen or something. It's not quite the same. So I think, and most musicians I think would agree that it's you know, it's much easier when there's actual other human beings in the space. So that's definitely been missed in the pandemic year. But you know, through, you know, we adapt through adversity, and so it's definitely better than nothing. So I'm thankful for that and having those opportunities, and you know, I look forward to you know, being able to play and listen to music and go to concerts, and you know, it's such a integral part of the human experience, I think. So that's, you know, looking forward to that, and we've made it for the most part. I think, you know, keeping sane, and still love music, and still feel the need to keep working on it and practice and get better and connect with people.
What started as an effort to stay connected and creative during an unbelievable historic moment of dislocation and social distancing has become a platform for creativity that we couldn't have possibly imagined when we started doing these broadcasts over a year ago. When the pandemic shut everything down last year, I reached out to a dear patron to see how she was doing in light of the depressing news of shuttered venues and empty stages. She reminded me that art has survived worse moments, and that she was keenly interested in how the artists would respond to this moment. 54 shows later, I think we've answered that challenge very well indeed. This has been a total team effort, with our players stepping up in a huge way to give us incredible performances. Our board and staff have shown great grit and determination, and you, our fabulous audience and donors, have allowed us to distribute over $65,000 in fees this past year to our artists who had the doors shut on them when the pandemic struck. From the start, our goal wasn't just philanthropic, but primarily artistic. We wanted to bring you music that was new to us, featuring composers who deserve the spotlight, and to show how creative work was possible in even the most challenging of circumstances. This was creativity amidst calamity, the essence of creating community through music. Portland, Oregon is our stage, our home, and our creative community. While it's certainly been a tough year for our beloved city, I know that I speak for my colleagues when I say that we've never been more inspired and excited for what the future will bring. A new Portland School of Music is emerging, a creative community of artists that are creating exciting new collaborations and works that form a new soundtrack for Portland life. This season, we've presented music by Portland composers Kirsten Valnes, Bonnie Miksch, Kenji Bunch, Andy Akiho, and we're eager to play our part in the Portland School receiving the attention it deserves nationally and internationally.
Hi, my name is Ann Medellin, and I'm Ron Blessinger's wife. And I'm just going to say a couple things about this year's reflections of 45th Parallel's efforts. I've been seeing my husband zing around the house and just fearlessly kind of put things together with these amazing musicians, and kudos to these amazing people. I am so proud of the work that they have accomplished this year. It's unbelievable. As an educator, which I am, my students have really benefited from these remarkable videos, and we've had reflective conversations. They've been in remote learning settings, and this has been really difficult for them. And this has brought my students a lot of joy. And thirdly, I've been able to participate with this group as a musician on 2 performances. It's been very humbling, and Danny Rosenberg has just done an amazing job of being an innovative artist in his own respect. So thank you so much. This group is amazing.
We're so excited to be returning for live performances this fall in a season we've titled Gratitude, for the blessing of being able to safely play together, for the fellowship that only live music can provide, and to our amazing audience and supporters. Tickets will go on sale mid-July, so stay tuned for that announcement. Finally, it was our tradition this year to thank the person who made all these shows possible, the man behind the curtain, the gentleman who started off our show tonight, Danny Rosenberg. Danny, on behalf of all the players, you're such a freaking rock star. We love you. And we'll never be able to tell you enough how grateful we are for your friendship, your technical genius, and the genuine love you have for music. I raise this glass in a toast to you, Danny. Our hearts are as full in gratitude as this glass. Cheers and good night.
You know that Davy Crockett had 3 ears? No. Yeah, he had a left ear, a right ear, and a wild frontier.
The whole lead up to that show was just like a lot of childcare. Ah!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Nights with 45th Parallel. I'm James Shields, a clarinetist with the organization. I perform around town. I hate this. We're so thrilled that you could be here with us tonight to celebrate music in these times. Our industry, classical music, like many others, has been definitely... I hate this. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Friday Nights with 45th Parallel. We have a special show tonight. We're broadcasting... Well... Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm James Shields.